Okay, so hello to all our audience of Métal Zone radio show. We are on Oxygène Radio, of course, and we are in Nantes at le Ferrailleur, and we've got the huge pleasure to be with one member from BODYFARM coming from Netherlands. Okay, so hello, welcome in Nantes, and can you first of all, thank you for taking time to answer some questions. Can you introduce us to our audience?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my name is David SCHERMANN. I'm the recently relatively new drummer of BODYFARM, and always a pleasure to answer some questions about the band. Of course, that's
cool.
Thanks for the interest. Yeah.
Okay, thanks to be available. So first, can you say you're a little bit new in the band, but can you introduce to our audience and tell us when was founded the band?
Well, the band was founded, now it's a good history question, but it's more than 10 years ago by Thomas Wouters, Quint Meerbeek, and our guitar player Bram, who's still in the band. And maybe you know, but maybe you don't, but Thomas Wouters died of cancer in 2019, which of course quite sad. And so the band had to find a new way to continue. And so that's basically where it comes from, on the way in the back. But they wanted to continue, Thomas wanted the band to continue, so that's very, So they found Ralph, our new singer, and then Quint the drummer, had personal issues in his life, couldn't continue the band, so that's when I came in, and then we constructed the new record. That's in a very short,
very short time. Okay, so you said you are the new guy in the band. Can you explain to us what is your background before joining the band?
Well, my background is basically drumming, because I started out when I was 6, but I played more in black metal bands before I joined BODYFARM, but I knew them because we are from the same city in the Netherlands, Amersfoort, so we rehearsed in the same rehearsal room, so the connection was already there. And then they asked me, could you help us out on the drums and see how it goes? And now we're here in Nantes playing shows for you guys in France, which is great.
So the fifth album of the band is called Ultimate Abomination, was released the 24th of March of this year. So can you tell us more about its composition, recording process, lyrical themes, etc., etc.?
Well, the composition was, I think, of course, Thomas Wouters wrote a lot of songs but since his passing, our guitar players Alex and Bram took over, because Alex used to play bass, now switched to guitars, and because they are in the band also so long, Bram already from the beginning, they kept guard of the original BODYFARM sound, and then it's more of a group project. So everybody adds, somebody comes with a riff, another person comes with an idea, and we add drums. So it's really a group process, this whole record. And that's very nice. And I think that's why it's kind of versatile. It's not only tuka, 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 tuka. It's a lot of speed differences, and I think that's nice. And it's basically because we all had our contributions in. Of course, the guitar players always do a little bit more because they bring their...
But everyone participate to the composition.
Lyrical themes. This will be a very long story too, but there's a lot of classic themes like war, violence, all the things you want in death metal, but also more psychological things. Carving Repentance is more about what your own spirit can do to you and stuff like that. The Swamp is obviously about war. And I think read the lyrics, find out for yourself.
Read the lyrics, of course. When did you join the band?
It's 2 years ago already. So it was still Corona going on, but then we started rehearsing, finishing the album, and So
as many of us, everyone, you crossed the pandemic in the 2 last years. How did you personally, as a human being and as a musician, survive those 2 long years of lockdown?
Well, I'm one of the few people who I think it also has a little bit of a positive side to it, because you have a lot of time to think about stuff in your life. So the whole roller coaster suddenly stops, and it's depressing, of course. And I'm very happy that we can play again. But on the other hand, it gave me some time to work a little bit on negative life patterns where you're unhealthy. You basically have time to work out a little bit, work a little bit on yourself, and now I have energy again to fully blast. So of course, in general, it sucks, and it was one of the worst periods I think in our lifetime for us here, because there are also a lot of people who have it way worse, of course. But it was not 100% negative for me. No.
Very wired period, but we teach each other. There's a period. So yes, it still remains nowadays difficult situation for an artist because of the lockdown. A lot of things change. Many shows in Europe have been cancelled because of significant increase of energy, fuel cost, etc. How do you handle this situation at your level?
Well, of course it's a different thing. We are very lucky. We only had one show cancelled because of this, but there are other bands that had a lot of more. But you have to adjust. For example, usually we would rent a van and put everything in and travel together. But nowadays, sometimes we decide to just take two of our own cars, put as much stuff in, like very old school, like less comfortable. But like you can do those small things to decrease the cost because you really have to. Because otherwise, if you go for a weekend, for example, we do a lot of German shows. It already costs you 500-600 euros only to get there. So so when you take your own car, there's a little bit of more margin left to actually earn some money back because you invest a lot in the band. So that you definitely feel it when you for example go for fuel in Germany on the highway. You basically start crying while filling up the tank. Like that.
I suppose.
It's hard, but on the other hand, we're not in it for the money. I think it's different if you're like really living from it. If it's your job, we are so fortunate that it's not 100% our job, but like an escalated hobby. We take it very seriously, but we also have day jobs. So yeah. Okay. But you feel it. You feel it.
Okay. What about the BODYFARM influence? I suppose you've got many influence in the band. How did you manage to trap together?
Well, there are a lot of influences indeed. I think a lot come from like the classic old school death metal bands, but not only the Swedish ones, but also like Morbid Angel, American bands. I think you can hear that. But also like they are slowly getting in more a little bit black metal vibes as well. Yeah. I think it was already before my arrival in the band, but still I pushed it a little bit more, I think, because of my background. But for us it's not really like we don't want to play a specific genre, we just want to make a good song. So sometimes it's a little bit more black metal inspired, sometimes it's a little bit more old school death metal inspired. But I think I can name all the bands, but like all the big heroes, like classic heavy metal also has a great influence on us. Like the Wasp, for example, is a band that we all like to listen to. Yeah, so that
So. Yeah, you're a musician for a long time now. How much, in your opinion, has changed over the years and after the pandemic in the metal community and in the business, business side, at your opinion?
I think in the metal community, there's not so much change. I think people are just happy that you can go to shows again. Maybe you are a little bit more picky because I think speaking for myself, I have a little bit more that you are a little bit more precious with your time and your energy. I don't need to go to every show. I'm just choose more where to go to. I think maybe that's more people have that. Business-wise, it's a little bit more shitty because people buy tickets late. So the pre-sales are tricky, and then everybody, for the promoter, is stressing out until the very last moment.
Exactly. I agree with that.
That's on the other hand, like nothing changed. The people still buy merch. Thank you for that. It's fun. People show up, but lately people decide late, and that's the biggest difference, I think.
Okay. So, what was the first piece of music that moved you?
Oh, that's a tough one. But somebody else already asked me last week about this. Okay. I think like the first heavy piece of music that moved me was the Appetite for Destruction album by Guns N' Roses. It was already made before I was born, but still great record. I think I was like 8 or 10 years old when my nephew played it. I'm like, I have to get this record. And then you go further, and then Metallica. My first concert was Metallica, and then suddenly you get into black metal and death metal. But I think like the first really band that is Guns N' Roses. Has to be Guns N' Roses. Yeah. Okay.
The first era of Guns N' Roses. Yeah, welcome to the jungle. Okay, in which musical environment did you grow up when you were a child or teenager?
Well, it's funny because both my parents are musicians, but classical. So my mother plays violin and my father is a conductor. Okay. So there was always a lot of music, but classical music. And then I decided to play drums, but I'm very grateful they let me. And then I got into metal, but they were like, if you want to do this, it's fun. yeah, go for it. So that's, but there was always a lot of music around me. Yeah.
Okay. So very cool parents. Play drums. Thank you to them. If you had to define the band BODYFARM in 3 words.
Well, it would be very easy to say Dutch death metal, of course.
Yes, okay.
But I think it's also it's really that. I think if you can hear like the Dutch classics, speaking of influences way before, like Asfix, Gorefest, all those bands are of course also in BODYFARM. So yeah, but yeah, you could also say like, maybe diverse death metal, but like the base is really death metal, and what word you add before that, it's,
Okay.
But that. Go for the slogan, Dutch death metal.
Come to see the band live, it's a better way. It's a better way. What about the metal scene in Holland? Is it always diverse? It always... can you tell us more about it?
Well, there's quite a good scene. I think at the moment the black metal scene is a little bit bigger than the death metal scene. But it's definitely diverse. There's a lot going on, especially in the bigger cities. Like because you feel more of rehearsal rooms there, people meet. With the scene, still new bands come up, and I think it's cool. Maybe Graceless. They started quite recently, relatively, and they got big. They grew. Like they're all more black metal bands. It lives. It's good. Yeah.
And there is places for the band to play. It's not too difficult to find.
Well, it's a small country, so that's so basically you can, for example, with the tour we do 5 shows in France, but it's possible because it's a big country. In the Netherlands, would never be possible. On the other hand, Dutch people are very lazy, so if we have to travel more than 20 minutes or half an hour to a show, they say, it's too far, man. So we are very spoiled. So you can do, I think that's a little bit of the handicap. You can't really play 30 shows a year in the Netherlands because then you basically have played every venue available. So that's a little bit of limiting. On the other hand, the scene is also very small, so people from the north know the people from the south, and it's pros and cons. But it also helps a lot with the scene that musicians all over the country can work together quite easily. So I think a lot of Dutch bands that work out well. I think
Very diverse, very varied, diverse in every style, so that's cool. So you are touring with Destroyer 666 and HELLRUIN for some shows across Europe. What are your plans after this European tour?
Well, with BODYFARM we have a lot planned. It's we are very happy with that because we already have a show the week after the tour. We're going to play a Brain Crusher in Hell festival in Germany. It's great with bands like Grave is also playing there, but it's also fun to share the stage with Afski from Denmark, which I like very lot personally. And there's a festival in our hometown the week after that with Asfix together. That's fun. I can go on. We played Dortmund Death Fest, really great show. It's with Bloodbath and D-Side. I am Morbid, like you're surrounded by the heroes. We do again in September, October. There's shows. I think we have almost 30 shows planned for this year. So come and see.
Come and see them. Busy guys. That's fucking cool. Okay, so to conclude this little interview, did you have something to add, some words for your French fans? Because we are, of course, in France.
Yeah, well, we are very happy to be back in France. And that's basically also a reason to join the tour, because it has 5 shows in France. I think the last time BODYFARM was in France, it is already 2016, when we toured with Death to All.
Yes.
And then maybe 1 or 2 shows in France. But after that, we've never been here again. So it's great to be back. And I hope you see a lot of you. And check out the album. I think it's cool, personally.
Check out the album. Check out the social networks of the band BODYFARM. So we were with the drummer of BODYFARM at Le Ferrailleur in Nantes. Thank you very much. We wish you a lot of good things for you, for the band, of course, for your family. Take care of you. And I'm sure you will kick your ass tonight in Nantes. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for your time and thank you for watching. Yeah.